and this video is going to be about the differences we noticed between the United States and Spain.
We're just normal travelers. We don't have a lot of experience, but we did notice some differences, and we'd like to share those with you. I think the very first thing you're going to notice when you land in Spain is the language. They all speak Spanish.
It is not as English friendly as a non-Spanish speaker would like. We discovered quite a few instances where some basic knowledge of Spanish is almost essential. But if you don't,
Google Translate. So many times we would have to get it out and use it.
It was wonderful for those words that you're just not going to find in a dictionary. You don't have to carry a dictionary around. Not only that, but it can also take Spanish words and tell you the pronunciation so you know how to pronounce them correctly.
¿Dónde está el baño?
And it even has a function where you can put the camera function of your phone over ingredients at a grocery store. And translator, we lived and died by the translator, so swear by it. When you arrive in Spain, you can't help but notice that their culture is different. And when I think of Spain, for me, the first image that pops into my head is the bullfighter. And Spain reveres its bullfights and its bullfighters.
We were walking down the street in Sevilla, and the people just started going crazy, and we found out that it was actually a bullfighter.
Another iconic cultural aspect of Spain is the flamenco dance. If you are traveling in Spain, take the opportunity to go see an authentic flamenco dance. Fascinating cultural difference that we noticed, considering what we're taught in our high schools. Wendy.
Yes.
What does it mean to you, the date 1492?
I know this one. Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
In Spain, we found out 1492 means something much more significant. When the Christian kingdoms drove out the Muslim kingdoms, the result is that there are buildings of Moorish, Islamic, and Christian designs. In many instances, the styles are mixed together for some jaw-dropping, beautiful architecture. Culturally, the Spanish celebrate Catholicism and they celebrate all the different religious holidays in spectacular ways. We noticed in the churches also that a lot of the imagery they have is of the Virgin Mary. So while typically I know in the United States, we think of the churches with Jesus, in Spain, you're gonna notice Mary everywhere. The other thing that we found striking was, there's no nice way to say this, but they have a lot of gruesome imagery in their churches.
One of the cultural differences that took me by surprise was the double kissing. It's fun. Some traditional food in Spain. Probably the biggest one I can think of is paella. Paella is a rice and seafood dish made in a paella pan. Valencia is where paella was born, and people from Valencia are very serious about it, and if you say you've eaten it somewhere else, like we said, Toledo, doesn't count. That's just rice with some seafood in it. So, by the way, we did not care for paella in Valencia or Toledo, but it is a big, big Spanish dish and it's everywhere.
I got an antenna on my spoon. Hey, wait. Put that in your mouth again.
I need some pepper. I'm kind of bland.
Really?
The food, oddly enough, in my head, I thought it would be spicy, you know, like Mexican food. But it is really bland food. It's delicious, but bland in the fact that they do not use heat. They do not spice it up. You won't find hot sauce. In fact, if you want it, you're gonna search long and hard. Even in the grocery stores, you can't find it. So it is more
Bland.
more bland than our food.
Less seasoned. If Valencia is proud of its paella, then all of Spain is proud of its pork. You go into any store and you can see these huge legs of ham hanging from the ceilings. Their most famous is called Iberico pork, and it can cost up to hundreds of dollars for a pound of the stuff. The bacon we thought was really good.
Oh, it was amazing. Another food item, and we did like this one, was a tortilla. It is really just made with eggs and potato and sometimes onion. That's it. It became one of our things that we would always look for when we were going out to have tapas. Another thing they don't do in Spain, they don't have an early dinner.
Oh no, their meal times are horrible in comparison to how we eat in the United States.
The siesta pushes things back, so normal dinner time is around 9 or 10 p.m. Yeah, late.
The way we managed was another cultural difference that they have in Spain, and that is tapas.
Yum. Tapas, well known in Spain, and you go to a restaurant or a bar and you have a drink. You know, you're hungry, we've been walking around, it's about 3 or 4 in the afternoon and dinner's still a long ways off. It's just a small plate. Sometimes they charge you, sometimes they don't. But if they charge you, it's a minimal cost. So it could be olives, it could be fish, it could be pork, it could be bread. Whatever it is yummy.
Here's my tapa. It's some pork loin with pepper, and it has that tomato yummy stuff on there that I really, really, really like.
While we saw a lot of drinking in Spain, both at celebrations and in restaurants, we never saw anyone drunk. In the States, you always see or hear some, you know, somebody getting loud and
Obnoxious.
But not once in Spain. It just doesn't seem to fit in with their culture.
When you're in Spain, you're going to need to know the metric system. So be prepared to understand how much a kilo is.
And Celsius, but to be honest, you don't really need to know them. Just have your smartphone close by.
The other thing is you'll notice on tickets, it'll say show up at 1500 or the store closes at 1600. Just understand they use the military time, and again, either have your smartphone translate for you or learn how to do the conversion yourself.
A thing we noticed is they don't seem to have clothes dryers. Electric clothes dryers. They do have clothes racks and clothes lines, and that's how they dry their clothes.
When we were there, it was in the springtime, and it got pretty cold. They typically don't have central heat. What they would have are these portable electric heaters you might use in your den that you plug into the wall, and it looks like a little radiator. And they're quite common.
A new thing for us is the mocha pot. The mocha pot is common in Spain. Use the mocha pot to make your coffee, and it is quite strong.
We noticed in the neighborhoods as we were walking around that they like their privacy. And they show that in a variety of ways that it just stood out to us. First way is walking around houses. You'll see they have high walls and hedges. And when I say high, I mean like over 6 feet high. You can't look over the top of them. And another thing we noticed was that they have bars on all their windows, to the point where, while we thought it was for privacy, upon reflection, we're thinking it must have been more for decorative appearances.
Another thing on the windows we noticed is blinds. These are typically metal. When they're down, your room is completely dark. One of my favorite things is the bidet. It took me almost 3 months to finally get up the nerve and try one. Now I'm a fan, and I even did a video on how to use a bidet.
In the public restrooms, their stalls go from ceiling to floor. You are in your own little closet.
Another thing is the sink and the hand dryer are sometimes shared by men and women.
One thing about the bathrooms in Spain, the public bathrooms, is that you may have to pay for them. It's typically €1 to use them, so be prepared.
A really nice thing they do in Spain is have a siesta. This typically happens from 2 to 5. In the big cities, it may not affect much. In the big tourist cities, Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona. But in some smaller areas, down south too, they do practice year-long the siesta. So the banks may be closed, the restaurants, your places of business, period. It is closed down.
This last item, we were caught totally by surprise. And it's when you're walking through any city street, and if you cross the crosswalk, cars stop.
Even if you haven't started across the street, if you're standing on the side of the road, they see you standing there and they're going to stop.
One of the great things about traveling through Spain without a car was the ease of getting around with public transportation. But you will notice that the cars that people have typically are much smaller than they have in the US. Rare to see a truck. Rare to see a big SUV.
One of the cool things we saw, they do have a lot of motorcycles and motor scooters, but they also have electric foot scooters. Like the kind that kids use where you pump your foot and you go around. Well, just like that, except these are electric. We saw them everywhere.
We just thought for a big city, this was really great transportation. Spain is a beautiful country. I know when we were making our original plans, I had in my mind that Spain was basically a big desert surrounded by a thin border of greenery. That's just my lack of knowledge of the geography of Spain. When we got there, we were both dumbfounded by the mountains. And as it turns out, Spain has the second most number of mountains, next only to Switzerland. Another thing we noticed about the mountains is they have done man-made terracing. And particularly in the southern part of Spain, every mountain had this terracing going up it. And you think of how many, 1,000 years of agriculture that they've been working on these terraces.
In that terracing, they would grow things like oranges, lemons, olives, almonds. There is so much fruit and so many nuts and olives, but they don't seem to be able to use all that their trees are providing. We would go past and just see all this fruit all on the ground, or the almonds and the olives black and rotted on the tree. We saw walnuts rotting on the ground, but you would go to the store and they wouldn't sell Spanish walnuts. They sold them California walnuts.
A really cool feature traveling through the countryside of Spain is seeing castles halfway up a mountain. And it's not like each city has one, but as you travel between the cities, you don't go but 15 minutes. And I'd be going to Wendy, look, there's a castle out there, and there's one over there. Just littered with castles. So if you're into that thing, this is the country to go to see castles.
Spending so much time in Spain, we found ourselves visiting a lot of stores. I was in need of a pair of new tennis shoes and found Spain doesn't really cater to a size 10 women's foot. Nope, your foot's too big. We don't have those here.
A fascinating story. I don't know if the Spanish call it this, but the English people that showed us the store, they call it the Chinese store. It's equivalent to like a dollar store in the United States.
So everything is not $1.
Right, but it is very cheap. And you can buy spatulas, shoelaces, fly strips, Tupperware, not real Tupperware, but containers like that, t-shirts, just all of that stuff that you need that you wouldn't, go to a department store and find it at a department store, you would find it at the Chinese store.
Of course, the quality isn't great, but if you're in need of a vegetable peeler right now, run to the Chinese store.
Yeah, you need a wine glass or a shot glass, Chinese store. Ice cube tray, Chinese store. So we loved them.
Pharmacies are different in Spain. You go to a pharmacy and you tell them your symptoms, what's ailing you. They go and they get all the drugs that you typically would have to have a prescription for and bring them back to you. The cost is probably equivalent to what we would pay for a prescription in the States. It's kind of nice.
We're in grocery stores. Like other things we noticed, a little different. For example, milk in the United States, you go to the dairy section, and it's going to be behind the refrigerated doors. You want eggs, you go to that area too, and you get your carton of eggs out of the refrigerated section. In Spain, milk is not refrigerated. And the same with the eggs. They don't require their eggs to be refrigerated, so they're out in the open aisles.
One of the really cool things in their grocery stores is, the 12-pack of water or beer or cola. You can't break those apart in the States. But, if you wanted to buy a single bottle of water in Spain, you can break those things apart and it's going to be 1/12 of what it was in that 12-pack. Another thing is wine. Wine is sold in bottles, but we also found it sold in boxes. They had 2 box sizes that we saw. Juice box size, I'm not kidding, only it didn't have a straw, white or red, and also the 1 liter size. Red, white, for €1. Beer, wine, and liquor are all sold in the grocery store. Now, I'm used to my beer and my wine being available in the grocery store, but not liquor, so that's very interesting. It's cheap, a lot less expensive than in the States. Try finding peanut butter in Spain. It's very, very hard to find. You'll find tons of Nutella, but but not a lot of peanut butter.
Never found a jar of grape jelly. Ever.
While there is no grape jelly, they do have some unique flavors of jelly. Like tomato jelly is also some really different soda flavors. One that comes to mind is watermelon soda. And some candy.
They have types of candy that we don't have in the United States. These brands caught us by surprise.
A really cool thing, I wish we did this in the States. So they do charge taxes on anything you buy, from what in the restaurant to the grocery store. But the tax is included in the price. If it says that this box of wine is €1 and this jar of tomato jelly is 50 cents, when you go to check out, you're going to pay $1.50. It is taxed, but the tax is already in that $1.50. Makes things easy.
Same with the restaurants. No surprises at the end. It's exactly what it is on the menu, so you know what it's going to be at the end. The other thing about the stores is they charge you for bags. When you go through the checkout, if they don't see you with an obvious bag, they'll ask, do you want a bag? We made the mistake, like, well, yes, thank you. And you pay 10 cents for that bag. So typically what folks do is they take their own bags. And just like in some people do in the States, they take their own canvas bag. We just carried our backpacks with us. And when we got to the counter, just stuffed them in the backpack. We went to a lot of restaurants in Spain. One of the things we noticed is the wait staff is almost all male and not young male either. I want to say middle age.
One of the things that is appreciated in a restaurant is you don't have to tip. They make a good wage and tips are appreciated but not expected.
One of the striking differences is the level of service. If you just sat down, you're going to sit there for a long time and nobody's going to acknowledge you. You would have to flag the waiter, or if you're sitting outside, you might have to go inside and tell them you would like to order. They would take your drink order, take your food order, and bring your food. And then after that, again, nothing. You would have to call them over to bring the check. And they'd bring the check, and again, you would sit there. And you would have to flag them down or go up to the bar and pay the bill. Once you've been served, it's hands off.
In a restaurant, you're never going to get a glass of tap water.
Right.
If you ask for water, it will be a bottle of water. It costs the same price as a soda.
You go into a restaurant and you say, I'll have a cup of coffee. First thing we noticed is when you say, I'd like coffee, you're going to have like 6 options of what you want for coffee. Do you want cafe americano, which is what we think of as coffee? Do you want a cafe latte? Do you want an espresso? Do you want, and they'll just go on. We actually had to learn what all these different types of coffee are. The other thing that broke my heart after getting used to this in the United States is you get 1 cup of coffee, and that is it. No free refills on anything in the restaurants. So that's all we have for the differences that we noticed between the United States and Spain.
We loved traveling in Spain. In fact, we have other videos of our travels in Spain, which we'll be putting out soon.
So if you liked this video, click on like and subscribe to our channel while away with us.
Thanks for watching.
Hey. It's not. That sledgehammer's not hitting it.
It's the top.
Yeah.